right, now we're going to review perimeter and area from the beginning of the semester. Remember, for all these questions, we have our formula sheet that we will have access to on Google, or when we do the EQAO. It'll be right there. We'll also give you a paper copy, but it'll be right online, so you can quickly click on it and get our perimeter and area of all the two-dimensional shapes, and then surface area and volume of all the three-dimensional shapes. This one we're doing a rectangle, so we have some formulas that may help you, but I think perimeter, we know that we just add up all the sides. So that's the way that I like to do it. So I'm going to say the perimeter is equal to, I'm just going to start in one corner and add them up. So there's 9 plus this is obviously the same as this, so it's 4. So plus 4 plus another 9 plus the last 4. Add that up and we get 26 centimeters. You could, of course, do 9 plus 4 and get 13, and know that there's 2 of those. 13 and 13 gets you 26. Next, we're going to do area of the rectangle, and this is probably one you have memorized, but if we need to, we can go to the formula sheet and remind us that area is length times width. And so we'll go area equals length times width. In this case, I'll call the length 9 and the width 4. 9 times 4 is 36. And remember that our units are centimeters squared. Remember, when we're multiplying to get area, we're going to get centimeters squared. Of course, if you had written 4 times 9, that still would get you 36. Now let's go off and find the perimeter of this triangle. Now, perimeter of the triangle means we're just going to add up all the sides. But notice that we're missing one of the sides. This is not an uncommon problem in EQAO where we're missing one of the sides. So we'll have to figure out this side. Well, this should be a review of Pythagoras that we just did. Notice we have that right there. That's the hypotenuse. So off to the side here, I'm going to go x squared equals 7 squared plus 5 squared. The hypotenuse is x, so it's x squared is written by itself. And then it's the sum of the other two squareds. 7 squared is 49. 5 squared is 25. Add them up, and we get 74. That's x squared. Obviously, this side is not 74 inches. We need to take the square root of that and get 8.6. So that means this side is 8.6. So just a little bit of math had to be done before we could find the perimeter. Now I can add up all the sides. Let's just do it down here. Perimeter is, let's do this side, so 7 plus the hypotenuse side, which we just figured out was 8.6. And the final side is 5. Add them up, and I think we get 20.6. IN stands for inches. So adding them up, doesn't matter if it's this shape or something else, we're going to add all the outside edges to get the perimeter. Now we need to find the area. So I might go to my formula sheet, but again, triangle is one that you probably remember. There are two versions, base times height divided by 2, or half base times height. I feel like you guys prefer the base times height divided by 2, so let's use that one. But dividing by 2 or multiplying by the half, of course, means the same thing. So I'll write down that formula just to help me see it. So the triangle is base times height divided by 2. Excuse me. Now it's just a matter of figuring out which sides are the base and the height. So the base is the one along the bottom, so I think that's pretty obvious that that's 5. And the height is the vertical height, the straight up. Okay, not the slanted height of 8.6, but the vertical height is straight up is 7. And divide that by 2. So we don't actually need the slant height, the hypotenuse, for this. So that 5 times 7 means 5 times 7 on the top is 35. Divide that by 2, or take half of it, and that's going to be 0.5, excuse me, inches squared. So base times height divided by 2 gets us 17.5 inches squared. All right, we're now going to go back to the whiteboards, and I'm going to challenge you to find the perimeter and area, but of a different shape. If you need to pull out your formula sheet from your binders to take over there, you can, or you can ask the teacher for the formulas as well. Actually, I'll put it right here in the video. So for circumference, let's check our formula sheet. We're now talking about a circle, so it's up here. So we have two versions, pi d or 2 pi r. It depends on what we have. Two radiuses equal the diameter, so it doesn't matter. All right, so let's see, in this case, you see that I have the diameter is 12. So let's use the c equals pi d version. So I'll let you go off and do that, and you're on your own in a second. But then let's see what the area formula is. And the area formula is area equals pi r squared. Interesting. So I'm going to let you do some thinking around that. Pi r squared. So you can pause the video now, go up to the whiteboards, and quickly try these two things. Okay, so very quickly I'll show you where our answers come from. So the d is 12. Now it's just a matter of multiplying pi times 12. Remember to use your pi button. So on your calculator, depending on where that is, mine, the pi button is right here. So I need to go second function. Oh, I gotta turn it on first. Second function, and then this button for pi. Oh, that graphic doesn't look too nice. Times 12. I think that's just a glitch right now, but I get that it's 37.7. So hopefully that's what you got up on the whiteboards. Oops, 37.7. And the area, the key in the area question, I'm sure you guys figured it out, is we don't have the radius, we only have the diameter. But the radius, of course, is half of the diameter, so we're going to use the 6. So this becomes pi times 6 squared. BEDMAS tells me to do exponents before I multiply, so that's pi times 36. And I'm sure you've already punched this on your calculator to get that it's 113.1 centimeters squared. All right, so we're going to come back down and try, this one was another one, but I'm going to skip it in the video. And we're going to go to the surface area and volume of a cylinder. So we'll need our help with our formula sheet on this one. So let's pull this up. The three-dimensional shapes are on the second page. So here we have the cylinder. So we've got all of the different broken up parts. Remember, the top is a circle, so there's a pi r squared, and there's two of those, a top and the bottom. So that's why we have the 2 pi r squared. The lateral surface, you'll recall, is 2 pi r h. And we have two circles plus the lateral surface. So the ultimate formula is this last one. So that's the one I'm going to use to find the surface area of this shape. We'll do it in blue. So 2 pi r squared represents the two circles, and the 2 pi rh represents the lateral surface. You'll see that this one we given the radius, unlike the last one where we were given the diameter, we had to figure out the radius. Here we have it. So this is just a matter of punching it in to this formula. So 2 times pi times 3 squared plus 2 times pi times 3 times the height, which is right there, is 10. BEDMAS tells me that I need to multiply, or sorry, do the exponents first before I multiply. So I'm going to do this. 3 squared means 3 times 3, so that's a 9. I'll leave everything else alone. Now you can make your life a little bit easier here. You could go to your calculator here and punch that all in. Most of you who have calculators will do that. But I'm going to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to go 2 times 9 is 18 pi. And then over here I'm going to go 2 times 3 is 6 times 10, that's 60. And you'll notice that I have the like terms being the pi button, or the pi value. So I've got 18 pi's plus another 60 pi's. That's a total of 78 pi. So that will be easier to punch in my calculator. I just need to go 78 times pi. Or you could do it up in this line or this line. Either is fine. Okay? I'm totally fine with you. As long as you get the right answer, I'm happy. So this is 78 times pi, which off the top of my head is 245.05, and this is inches squared. I'm talking surface area, so I'm doing inches squared. So hopefully you got that on your calculator. If not, you can ask someone to help you with punching that in your calculator. All right, next it asks us to find the volume. So I'm going to need to remind myself of the formula for volume. So here it is. There's the formula for a volume. Oh yeah, it's the area of the base times the height. And the base is a circle, so it's pi r squared. And the cylinder is just a whole bunch of circles on top of each other. So this is pi r squared h. So let's write that formula down. Pi r squared h. I know my r and I know my h. So this should be an easy calculation for us to do. The r is 3. The h is 10. BEDMAS, of course, tells me to do exponents first. Just like I did over here in this question, I got to do that here. Now, 3 squared means 3 times 3, which is 9, times the 10 and the height. And again, I might make my life easier by saying 9 times 10 is 90 pi. But you don't need to. You could go to your calculator right now and push pi times 9 times 10. I'm going to go to my calculator and push 90 times pi. And that will get me 282.74. And now we're talking volume. So it's inches cubed. All right, we're talking the volume. Everything inside is inches cubed. All right. So now, if it makes sense, depending on how much time is in class, we'll ask that you go back up to the whiteboard to try this. Let's go. Actually, we'll try this one here while I'm here. Stay sitting down. We're going to do it right here. It says the length, each side length of the cube A is 4 centimeters. So we've got a cube. You just have to watch this. I don't think this is in your handout. Okay, and it's each side is 4. So it's going to be 4 times 4 times 4. So let's just figure that out right now. The volume is 4 times 4 times 4, and that's 64 centimeters cubed. It says each side length of cube B is tripled. So now the side lengths are 12. So we have a much bigger cube. And it's all 12. So the volume of that is going to be 12 times 12 times 12, which is 1,728 centimeters cubed. Now the question says, how many times greater is the volume of QB? So we're not going to get fished in and just look for 64 or 1,724 in our answers. It's not that. We now to know how many times bigger it is. So we're going to do 1728 divided by 64 will tell us how many times bigger it is. So that's 27 times bigger. So our answer then is 27 times bigger. And the reason is, if one side is tripled, then the other side is tripled. That's 3 times 3. So tripled once, tripled a second side, and tripled a third side. Times 3 times 3 times 3 is times 27. So again, you just watch that, and we have that. Here's another EQAO type question that's pretty quick and easy to see. It says the cylinder has a diameter of 20 centimeters. Well, if we go back and remind ourselves the formula for, what is it asking for? The volume? Yeah, the volume. Well, remember the volume of the cylinder is pi r squared h. So its volume is pi r squared h. All of these, oh wait, this is asking for the volume of a cone. Oh, I need some help with that. The volume of a cone. Because I'm looking at these answers and none of them look like pi r squared h because it's the cone. So I'm going to go to my formula sheet and find my cone. Remember, that's not a cone, that's a square-based pyramid. Here it is. Oh, there's my pi r squared h, but it's divided by 3, or 1/3. So remember this, that it's 1/3 the size of the cylinder. So if I go back to this, all of these have 1/3. So automatically I can eliminate 2 of these answers. This isn't a third, this is a third. The only difference between these two is 10 and 20. And my formula, so this is 1/3, my formula says R, but it gave me a diameter of 20. If the diameter is 20, that means the radius is 10. So my volume is going to be 1/3 pi times 10 squared h, which is 60. And that means that this is the correct answer. This one, they accidentally used the diameter, and we need the radius. So that's actually a good spot for us to go up to the whiteboard now, because I'm going to ask you to find the volume and surface area of a cone. So I'll pause this here. Now, the one little bit of advice I'm going to point out is you'll notice you're missing a side right here, and that is a side of a right triangle. So you're going to have to do a little bit of math to figure out this height. And then be careful of your 2 formulas. Again, if you don't have your formula sheet, I'll write it down for you. The surface area, let's write the surface area, or sorry, the volume here is 1/3 or divided by 3. I know you guys like the divided by 3 one. And the surface area formula is pi r squared plus pi rs. The pi r squared is the bottom circle, and then the lateral surface around is pi rs. So if it makes sense and you think you have enough time, you can go off and try those and then come back and see what your answers are. All right, if you've come back, then here are the two answers. Notice you had to do the Pythagorean theorem first to get your answer of 8 inches. And then we're going to use that 8 inches into the two formulas. There's the one for the volume of 300.6. And the surface area, it turns out, coincidentally, is exactly the same as 301.6. That's just a coincidence. Okay, so you can just check your work, but if you wanted to pause it and write that down, you could, but I don't think this question's in your work. All right. So that's it for the measurement stuff.